we are not Egyptians. Black Americans that came on transatlantic slave trade, that came on slave ships, there is no history that points to us actually being the Egyptians. Now, another thing about the conscious community, one of the doctrines I first heard was the black woman is God, meaning that she's, birth creation, and so she's a god or a goddess. The first time I've ever heard that was from Brother Polite when he was trying to come up against Captain Tazariak, and he had a lecture. Not only did he have a lecture, I remember in that lecture or that debate, he brought out his wife or one of his wives, and he spun her around, showing off her body, like basically, isn't that a god? And I want to speak to that because this is something I've seen throughout the conscious community with the red, green, and black is whenever they talk about the black woman being God, it's always about her body. It's always about her sexuality. It's always parading her around like a whore. You know what I mean? Like you never see them get a random sister that's natural looking, that has clothes on, and say the black woman is God. Even on social media, when you see memes and all that, it's some sister in a, she might have a bikini on or half naked, all oiled up with an afro saying the black woman is God. It's always degrading the black woman, and it's always promoting her sexuality and, basically promoting her body when it says that she's a god. Now, Polite even said this, and you probably heard it before, that the woman can birth a child on her own through the bottling gland. I've never seen a woman have a baby on her own. A woman has always needed a man. But y'all let me know if y'all know somebody that was able to get pregnant on their own, a woman. But the conscious community always uses sexuality to say that the black woman is God. There's no historical facts to show that the Egyptians fled into the interiors of Africa and then eventually settled in West Africa and were the people put on cargo slave ships and went to the West Indies and to North America. There is none. So when I don't know what it is in our minds when we think, especially here in America, black people, we think we are the Egyptians. We have an affinity for being the Egyptians. In reality, we were actually the lower class in ancient Egypt. We are a Shemitic people. We're not a Hamitic people. The problem is that we're caught up in the loop of the Europeans' educational system that taught us that we were all the same simply because we came off the continent. But we never knew the history of how people migrated and moved throughout Africa. Never heard that, never known that history, never was taught that history. We just assumed like because we came from the continent of West Africa, we were in West Africa and we are slaves and we're dark skinned, that we're all the same. We're brothers and sisters, right? And that is not true. It's not true at all. There are more than 54 countries. There are more than 1,000 different language and dialects on the continent of Africa. There are different people. There are Africans within the continent of Africa that don't identify with each other. But Africa is used as a blanket term, like an umbrella term for everybody. But within those groups, they don't identify with each other. They have different languages. They have different cultures. You know what I'm saying? They have different phenotypes, look different. They have things that are select about their people from the way they look. So we got to get out of that loop, how we've been miseducated here in America on what it is to be black, what it is to be African, what a nationality is. Is a nationality tied to the land that you own? Or can a people migrate? For instance, if an Asian or a Chinese man came from China to America, is he now American? Or is his nationality Chinese, which dates back to ancient times? That's a question you should ask yourself. During the time of scientific racism, you had people that would study the skulls of the different races. Now, in the book, The Black Image in the White Mind, what it highlights is that when they went to go study the skulls of the Egyptians versus the Negroes in slavery at that time in America, what they realized was that the Negroes were not Egyptian. And also what they realized, this is a kicker, they also realized by studying the skulls that the Negroes had been relegated to the same servile position as in ancient Egypt as in America. So the same people who were the servant or the servant class, second class, working class, the field hands in Egypt were the same people in America. They were the same. The skulls matched. They did not match Egyptian skulls. They didn't. So where do we get this affinity that we're Egyptian from? Well, in my opinion, when we were in chains and in slavery, the Europeans were over there, digging up the Sphinx and the pyramids from under the sand. And then as we grew in America, as America started to progress and make movies, you seen that the white man, he romanticized about being Egyptian. In fact, there's a lot of Caucasian people, white people, that believe that the ancient Egyptians were white. But we know that the ancient Egyptians were actually a Hamitic people, so it's no possibility that they could even be white. But because they romanticized so much about Egypt and wanted to be Egyptian and wrote so many books, textbooks, and put it on the movie screen, we started to fall in love with that, and we started to believe that, and we go past all of the other civilizations in West Africa, Central Africa, North Africa, all the way to the corner of the Horn to ancient Egypt and say we were them. There's a lot of different cultures, but for some reason, we think we were them. And we connect all blackness together. Well, I got some news for y'all. All blackness wasn't unified. All dark-skinned people were not unified. When you look at the walls of ancient Egypt, you have the pictographs on the sides of the wall with Ramesses basically subduing all his enemies. He's subduing Nubians, Cushites, Libyans, Shemites. He's subduing other dark nations. Their enemies are other dark nations. It never was no unified world in the ancient times. It's never been a unified world in the ancient times. So y'all gotta get up out of that sleep. A lot of black people be wearing, the red, green, and black, have the Ankh, have different symbolisms from ancient Egypt, and don't even know how ancient Egypt actually got down. Don't even know. You just know that they were great. They had gold, they had pyramids, and they were a black race. And so because we're kings and queens, we had to have been them when we were not. There's no proof, documented proof, that the ancient Egyptians went into West Africa on slave ships. There is proof, if you want to accept it or not, that Negroes did, that Israelites went into the interiors of Africa, that Israelites were living in West Africa, that when the Jews were expelled in 1492, they came down there and came down there into Timbuktu. There is information on that, but y'all don't want it. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want to connect the dots. Y'all want to go back to Egypt. That's where y'all want to go. Y'all want to go back to the oppressor. That's where y'all want to go. But that's why I made this video, just to say that, just to, give my thoughts and my perspective on the conversation, not just that, the conscious community and how they always parade black women as, objects, and black women fall right for it, being half naked and all that. But let me know what you think about this in the comments. I know this upsets a lot of people. I know it will, because we have nothing else. We are a people at crisis with our identity. But give me your thoughts and your opinions. And with that, this is Black Authentic Truth.